Have you tried Snapplique yet? Snapplique is a fun and easy method to take traditional quilting patterns and turn them into machine embroidery designs. In this particular series, I'm going to be doing Merry Christmas, and this is a beautiful quilt from Amy Bradley Designs, and it is a quilting applique design. We'll scan the pattern pieces into the Brother Scan and Cut and convert it into a machine embroidery design. You can even use the Scan and Cut to cut out all your pieces. If you've never done this before, I highly encourage you to give it a try. It's a lot of fun, and you will be amazed that you can make adorable blocks like this in just a matter of minutes. I hope you can join me and do Snapplique with me, where you can do applique in a snap. I'm getting ready to do the letters for the Merry Christmas quilt, and I wanted to take you through my process and show you how I'm going to do that. And a while ago I had scanned in the letters, and I'll put a link to that video right up here so that you can take a look at that. But the first thing I'm going to do is go into Canvas Workspace. This is the online version, and I'm just going to find, this is letters 1 right here, and letters 2 is right there. I'm not sure how the polar bear got in the middle of that, but that's how that happened. So I'm going to open up letters 1 by just clicking edit this project. Oh, let me minimize this. Sorry, you guys. New software. Okay, so I'm going to edit this project and bring these in. Now, the nice thing about doing this, let me get this out of the way, so big for you guys. The nice thing about doing this is that you can get them all on, sometimes you can get them all on one mat to cut them out. Sometimes you can't. These are really large letters, and I think what I'm going to do is to print each letter individually from the embroidery software, and that'll be after I make the SVG cut file. So I'm going to make the SVG cut file from the embroidery software versus from here. But I do need to get these duplicated so that I can get them cut out. So let me pull in another one. I'm going to come back to my projects and open these up, and then I got to scroll down until I find that letters 2, and I'll just go to get more. I'm going to try to do this all in one cut so I don't have to do a lot of editing. I hope it's not miserable. Okay, here's the letters 2. I'm going to grab it and drag it onto this. Okay, let me move all of these off. So I'm going to move these letters off the mat and then bring them back on as I need them. So here's the M. I'm going to, okay, that is all one. If you highlight this and the E, the inside of the E is another one, be sure to group them so that they are all together. M-E. These can be, nice thing about this is I don't have to trace 2 R's. I can just right click and duplicate. Okay, M-E-R-R-Y. My plan is to take all of that fabric that is designated for the letters in the kit and just put it all over the entire mat and let it just cut all of them at one time. Here's this. Let me take both of these and go into properties and where is that? That's weird. Sometimes it'll give me the, oh, it's because they're not one. That's right. Right click. Let's group. Now I'm going to get a different properties window. There it is. So let me do, I think it's 270 to go backwards. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Good. That's why that did that. And then right click and ungroup. And we'll do the C and the H. Right click, duplicate. There's my third R. I want these two to be one. So I highlighted them both, right click and group. All right, there's the I. You can put them this close together on the ScanNCut and they'll be fine. And this S, is that upside down? Let me see. Rotate 180. No. I think I can Control Z to undo that. Yep. S, T, and the M. Duplicate. Is the A all one? Yes, the A is grouped. Okay. And one more S. And I'm going to rotate that to its side. So I can put a 12 by 24 inch piece of fabric on my 24-inch mat, and I can get all the letters cut at one go on the ScanNCut. So that's good. I'm going to change this up here in the title. Let me X out of that. Change it in the title to okay, and I'm just going to save this. I don't want to overwrite project. I'm going to save it as a new project. If you click the project tab, you can save it as a new project by clicking the inbox with an arrow and a plus sign. And I'm going to tell it okay, and then I'm going to get rid of these. These are the little Christmas balls. I'll get to those on another cutting. So I'm going to delete those right now. If there is anything off the mat, it won't download. So let me download it now. And I'm going to download to PC for the FCM file. Okay, I'm going to turn that into the embroidery file, and then I'm going to download the ScanNCut transfer. Okay, and that's ready to go. So I'm going to hit close, and I'm going to go cut out my letters, and I'll be right back. If you want to see how to cut out the letters, I'll put a link to that video right up here. I'm getting ready now to set up the design for the Merry Christmas quilt. This is the letters block, and I have already cut out all the letters, and I've cut out the little balls and their little caps, and also scanned both of those designs to a USB for a design placement. And you can find the design placement sheets on 61 through 64, I think it is. And it tells you on here, we show you how Amy overlapped her letters, but this doesn't include the final trim line. Final trim is 13 by 33 and a half. Amy's version had approximately 1 3/8 on each side, and 1 inch above the M and 1 inch below the bottom M. So 1 inch above the M on the Merry and 1 inch below the M in Christmas. Let me grab that USB. Okay, I'm here on the Embrilliance screen now, and I went out to Google and I did a search for inch to millimeter conversion. And since the final cut trim size is 13 by 33 and a half, that comes out to 330.2 millimeters by 850.9 millimeters. I went into my preferences up here and created a MC letters hoop, essentially. So all you need to do to make your own hoop is click new and give it a name and then give it the millimeters. But I did that, I'm not going to use that obviously, but I did that to give me a boundary so I can tell where everything is going to fit, and that's going to help out quite a bit. The scale of the JPEG is not to scale along with the FCM files. So I'm going to scale the image and then get the FCM file. So the first thing I want to do is make sure I am in Stitch Artist, which is the little quarter sundial looking thing right here. Click that and I can get the different buttons for Stitch Artist. I want to import the image. I'm going to do that first. That's on a USB drive. And I've got two different images because one of them I scanned. I had 3 pages on a 24-inch mat. That's this one. And let me rotate this 90 that way. And then I'll move it over here. And then I'm going to import the other one. Okay. And rotate 90. What I'm doing is I'm jumping into Embrilliance Essentials when I click out of Stitch Artist. So I'm going to use this one right here to scale this up. This is weird because I've got 2 images I'm working with. Let's see. So let's bring in the letters, and I'll go to Vector. Let's get Merry Christmas first. Okay. And let me have the M. I'm going to right click and move first. And I'm going to bring this right here. And now I want to scale this design and bring that up. Bring that M up to size. Oh, that's real close. I should go buy a lotto ticket. Okay, that looks really good. I'm going to just move this now. The thing said there was 1 inch and 3/8 to each side and 1 inch above and below. This looks pretty good. Okay. And then I'm going to take this other design and scale it up pretty close. Kind of right, yeah. That's not to scale at all. Let's see. Okay. Again, these JPEGs are just to give you an idea of where you need to put your letters and whatnot. This looks pretty good. So I'm going to take both of these. I'm going to hold down the Control key. I want to lock them. I'm going to click on the lock. That's going to prevent them from changing size if I move things around. And while they're both highlighted, I want to right click and move last and put those down out of my way here. So, all right, now I'm ready to start moving these around. So I'm just going to go in regular letter order, and let's do this. Put that there and get an E. This R, I'm going to move it up using my arrow key so I can grab the little box here. All right, so let's get these in order. I'm just going to grab it on the picture, not on the word, and I'm going to grab it and pull it up and hover it over the one I want it to be after. All right, since this is not to scale exactly, I'm going to make the back images go away and take a look at the kerning and make sure that the placement of the letters beside each other look pretty good. So I'm going to click on my little tree with the sun behind it and make that go away. That looks pretty good. I like it. That looks really good. Okay, you can see all these little nodes in here. I want to make sure we don't have any broken graphics. I'm going to Control A to select all, and inside of Stitch Artist I'm going to create outline, and let's reconstruct outline. There we go. That makes sure we don't have anything broken, and we're going to have issues. This looks pretty good. All right, so now I want to go ahead and apply stitches to these. I want this to be its own design, but let me get out of this and center. Okay, that looks good. That looks really good. Okay. So I'm back in Stitch Artist. I'm going to click on the Applique button right here, and that puts stitches on them. The default is the E-stitch. I'm going to hit the drop down and go to blanket, and stitch length is 2.5 and width is 4. I want width to be 2.5 as well. That looks real good. If I scroll in, you can see it looks pretty good there. I've got a double stitch here that's weird. A couple of them have double stitches where they start and stop. If you don't like those, you can get rid of them using either the Stitch Simulator, or I can click into, this is Embrilliance Enthusiast, and it has a stitch editor in there. I can click that, and now I get the individual stitches, and I can just click one and hit the delete on my keyboard, and that makes that look real good. So you don't have to have Enthusiast. It makes it really easy though if you do. Okay. Do I see any other double stitches that I don't like? I'm holding down the keyboard, the space bar, and I guess those are fine. These are real close together. Okay. Now my stitches are going the right way right here. I got something weird right there. That's strange. Let me grab that and move it up. What is that all about? That's what's handy about Enthusiast. You can, I don't think you would see that. If you don't have Enthusiast, I don't think you would even notice it. If you wanted to just leave it, it would be fine. Let's see how it's going wonky here. Whoop. Straighten that out there. All right, so now that I have saved this into an embroidery design, it still says design up here with the image and applique, so it's not yet an embroidery design. We are still working with the graphic. So now I want to create the line that's going through it and make sure that the little balls are in the right place. So I'm going to bring back the image, and I need to move these. Because I centered everything. So let's move this image. All right. That looks good. Okay, so now I can see where I need to put the little Christmas balls. I'm going to import another vector, and I want the balls, and open. So what I'm going to do, I know I have all 6 of these things, but what I'm going to do is, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to highlight the first one, highlight the last one, and hit delete. Now I want to go up to create design and begin new design. I want these to be a different design. Now I'm going to bring in that vector, and it can be part of that. And as I said earlier, while there are 6 of these, I'm only going to build one, and then I'm going to copy paste because they are all identical. So I'm going to get rid of this. Let me see here. Highlight this, hold down the shift key, get rid of this one, and then get rid of this one. Okay, so now this one, we'll put it here. Let me scroll in so I can see what I'm doing. And then we're going to take this where did that go? I lost it. I don't see it. Where's it at? There it is. Like, I don't know where that went. It looks like I need to rotate that 90. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I have fun doing this, right? Okay. Whoop. Wrong image button. There we go. So let me highlight this, and I'm going to bring it down. I want this to stitch before the ball, so I'm going to grab the ball and hover it over the one I want it to be after. That changes their stitch order. I'm going to put these together, and I want to come up to edit and group. So now they are one, and I can rotate them. There we go. All right. Awesome. I'm going to zoom in now, and I want to draw that little hook. Let me have this, and I need to bring this in just a little bit more so that it is more underneath. That looks good. Okay. Now I'm going to come up here to this draw tool, draw with points, and I'm going to just make a bunch of little clicks because it's such a tight little curve. I'm not going to play with the Bezier tool. That'd be too difficult. I'm just going to take this, and everywhere that there's a curve, I'm going to click. Let me get in here real good and I'm just going to start right here, click, and I'm just going to do this. The tighter the curve, the closer together they need to be. I'm not holding down the shift key. I'm not doing anything except clicking on this to make this little wire. And I want it to end underneath the cap right there. Now I'm going to hit enter. Okay, and I need to give it a stitch property, and I want it to be a run stitch. So we're over here with properties. It has a run. What kind of run? I want it to be a double. Okay, so now that's a double run. Look at that. Awesome. Now I can take this, highlight the first one. Let me Control S to save everything. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the whole thing. I'm going to right-click, copy, right-click, paste. It pasted directly on top of itself. I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to rotate it. Okay, doesn't have to be exact. It's fine. You can put it wherever you want. Okay, right-click, copy, right-click, paste. This is going to be a multi-hooping for sure. Now that's sitting like right on top of that eye. Let me hide this. Okay, let me get this and move it like that. That looks good. Okay. And bring my picture back. Right click, copy, click, paste. Okay, that looks really good. I'm going to start a new design here. I'm going to create design, begin new design. Okay, I'm going to use this tool, the regular drawing tool, and I'm just going to click every so often and make sure that I click inside of where those little hooks are. I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so I want to give it a stitch property as a run, and it is a double with the 2.5, and that's perfect. Okay, so I have gone through now and completely digitized this so that I have got applique stitches for placement and the final blanket stitches on this. I did it for all of the little Christmas balls and their caps, and drew in the little hooks and also drew in the line, and I've got this entire design right over here on the objects panel, and you can see how all that worked out. When I was drawing the line, here are the different parts of it. There's the first piece, there's between the M and the E, and while these start and stop underneath the letter, I will use the needle plus minus button on the machine to jump to the very edge of the stitch when I get to here, because this needs to start underneath this E. Well, I'll explain it in just a second. Let me back up just a little bit. So I did break this into 4 different pieces here, okay? So now what I did is, based on the size of my hoop, I broke up this design into 2 different hoopings. And you can see that here. The first hooping is the ME, and then this first line, these 3 Christmas balls and these letters. So notice that second line is not right here because it would end outside of the edge of the hoop. So that's why when I get ready to stitch that second line, I'm going to advance the needle 1 stitch at a time until it starts right on the side of that E. Okay. All right, so I have saved both of these. I've gone up to File and Save as Stitch and Working. Now Stitch is the embroidery design. Working is what we're looking at right here. And you can see that because it still says Design and Balls, FCM. This is all the cut files. I did change the colors on these balls and the line that is that they're hanging on, because I don't want the machine to think about stitching those at the same time as it's stitching something else. And so I created color stops for that. All right, so now what I want to do is open up the embroidery files. And to do that, I'm going to go to Open, and I can see it here. Now, the reason I can see these like pictures is because I'm using Embrilliance Thumbnailer. A lot of people get confused and they think that Thumbnailer opens designs. It does not. It just allows you to see the design on your screen, and that's what I want. So you can see I have firsthooping.be, that's the working file, and then firsthooping.pes, that's the one I want. That's the embroidery design, and I want to open that up. Okay, I'm going to turn it sideways for my brain by double clicking on hoop, and I'm going to grab it here and rotate 90. There we go. Now what I want to do is minimize my trips to the ironing board. So the easiest way to do that is to open it up, and you can see now it just says first hooping. It doesn't say FCM or any of that, and we are looking at an embroidery design. If I go into the stitch simulator, we can see placement line, tack down, or final stitch, placement line, final stitch, and it's going to go through all of this. Well, what I want to do is I want to do the placement lines first for everything, and then I want to do the final stitch for everything so that I can just go to the ironing board one time. Now we have to think about how this is going to go down. First of all, I need to put down, now this is all going to be one color, so it doesn't matter that these hooks are supposed to loop over or under that line. It's really not going to make a difference. So I'm going to come down here to this line, and I want to go right click and move first. So now that line is going to stitch down. Let's look at the simulator now. Okay, that's good. Now I want to get the little caps, this guy right here, because this has to stitch, I'm sorry, not the cap, but the little hook. This has to stitch underneath the cap. I need that to be under there, I think. I don't know. Let me see. Let me look at these and see what we've got here. Look what it did. It combined this and the hook as one design. That's not really what I wanted. So you definitely want to look and make sure that these things are going to stitch the way you want, and it didn't. So I'm just going to come up here and hit delete, and I'm going to come back to, let me go into this one. I'll do it by hooping, so I'm not going to do it again. This run right here, I'm going to change the color, and I'm going to make it anything but. Okay? And same for this one. And if I make them all the same color, the odds of the machine, see, where's that third one? Aha, it combined these into the same, see that? You've got to watch these. Embroidery software will do it, and embroidery machines will do it when you're not looking. Okay. I want to change these to a different color. I'm going to change the vermilion. I'm going to type in gray. Did that work? It only worked on the one. Okay, what color is that? That is 817 gray. All right, so I'm going to do this one. And this one. So I'm going to make sure that these are going to stitch in the order that I want them to. This is why you need to go in and double check all this stuff. Okay. So let me do that on the second hooping, okay? I'm going to go back into these, and I'm going to change it to the pink. You change the color by clicking on the color chip, and then I want to change the cap. And that third one, this needs to be the pink. All right, so let me do this one. I'm going to delete it. It thinks it's open. I'm going to tell it no. First hooping, file, save as stitch and working. I want to save it as first hooping .pes. Until it's saved. Do I want to overwrite? Yes. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the second hooping. File, save as. I prefer save as. You can do a plain save, but I like save as because it's going to allow me, instead of renumbering it like first hooping 1, first hooping 2, etc. I'm just rewriting that first hooping. Now let's open that up and take a look at it. I'm going to open, let's look at first hooping PES. Okay, so now let's take a look at this and see what we've got. I want to move this line right here. I want that to be first, so right click, move first, and then I want the hooks to stitch second. This one, and then this one, and the reason I can choose them now is because they are different colors. This one, and I can right click, I'm going to choose move first, so it moved them all up, and then I'm going to grab these. Here's the line right here. I'm going to grab just the first one, and I'm going to hover it over the one I want it to be after, which is this one. And that will move this line back up to first, and then it's going to do hook, hook, hook. Okay, so that's good. And then the caps will stitch on top of that. So here is the placement line for the M. So after this placement line stitches, I want all the other placement lines for all of the rest of the applique in the design to stitch after this M. I can kind of see that hook. I wish those pictures were darker. They are not. There's nothing you can change in the settings. Many people have written to Embrilliance about it, and I don't know what can be done about all that. So I'm going to choose my placement lines for just the caps, not the balls. Is that right? I think the caps, yeah, the caps go down before the balls. Okay, so I've chosen the 3 caps, and I've chosen the placement line for the ECHRIS. Okay, I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to grab just the first one and hover it over the one I want it to be after. You can do them one at a time. You don't have to. Okay, I like this. All right. And then I want the final stitch for the caps. Is that right? No, I think this is fine. So let's look at the stitch simulator and see what we have. The line, the hooks, and then placement line. Okay, and then we're going to stitch the final blanket stitches. All right, and then we're going to do the placement line for the balls and the final stitches for the balls. I want to change up. Here is the first placement line for the ball, and I'm going to choose the second placement line and the third placement line, and I'm going to grab that and hover them over the one I want it to be after. So now it'll stitch the final stitch for the cap, placement, 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 and let's see, this and this need to hover up over these, cap, 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 ball, ball, placement, placement, final, final, final. Perfect. That's what I want. So you could try this doing a color sort, but this one really needed the manual thing to make sure that it's absolutely right. Sometimes color sorting can be a little bit more confusing. I'm going to Control S to save this. First hooping, I want this to be, let's see, it played with it on the, let me cancel. I'm going to say File, Save Stitch File As. I'm not going to fiddle with the working. And I want to save it as firsthooping.pes. Save. Do I want to overwrite and replace it? Yes. Okay, so this works. So I'm going to do the exact same thing to the second hooping right now. Now that I've got all that settled out, I need to print this design so that I can be able to align it on my fabric like I need. So I'm just going to come up to File, and print. Let's go to print preview and take a look and see what we've got. Okay, so this is going to print probably on multiple pages. So, all right, so you can use these arrows up here, go backwards and forwards. So I do want to print page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. I don't need page 5 because it's going to all stitch in black anyway. So I only need to stitch, I only need to print pages 1 through 4. So I'm going to go print and pages 1 to 4 and tell it okay. All right, and then I'm going to tape all of these together so that I get a really good picture of where I can align things on the fabric. I'm going to do the exact same thing to the second hooping. I'm ready to send the design to the machine, so I'm going to come up to Utility, and this will work with all wireless Brother or Baby Lock machines, and you need to have turned the machine on, and you need to make sure it has gone through its initial sequencing cycle. So just usually you have to click OK and the arm will move back and forth. So in the utility menu, I'm going to come down to Wi-Fi to Brother Baby Lock, and I have to give it a name. Don't put a space, it doesn't like spaces, so I'm just going to call it 1ST hooping and tell it OK. And it says file sent to the machine. That's how easy that is. If you don't have a Brother or Baby Lock wireless machine, if you have any other embroidery machine, you can come up to File, and you would want to save stitch file as and navigate to a USB. If you've got a USB drive, okay, and then you would name it whatever you want. You don't have to name it anything. It'll still save on that name, but I like to name my stuff different so I know what it is. And if you don't have a Brother machine, mine defaults to PES because I told it I use Brother hoops, so it assumes I want to save in a Brother format. You can click on the down arrow and you can save it to any home embroidery file format that you want.